Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.
Good afternoon or good evening. It's early evening for you on the East Coast, maybe early. I'm Bob Pace, and I want to welcome you to this podcast, Fight CPS and Stop Taking Our Children. I do have a guest on the show, uh, which I'm really glad to have. I'm so happy to have you. We'll get our guest introduced very shortly. I want to welcome you all to this podcast that you found me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. I'm on every day, twice a day, 14 times a week. It's Monday through Sunday, and I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time, and again at 7 p.m. In the evening at Pacific Standard Time. There's some exceptions, like today. It's high school. It's Friday Night Lights, and I'm going to be going to a high school game with my son to watch a game at 7. So I've moved our show up to 4 o'clock earlier. And so that being said, is that that is there. Tomorrow being Saturday, you heard a special message from our attorney, Vincent Davis. I want to thank him for what he does. He's our dependency family juvenile attorney. He's kind of the expert in the country. He gave a little spiel about his show tomorrow at 10. So I'm going to be coming on at 8 o'clock Saturday morning. That's 2 hours before his show. So it gives some chance for people from my show to go and listen to him on his podcast. Then Sunday, I go on at 8 o'clock because I have church. I go to church on Sunday. So today, it's going to be at 4 p.m. in the afternoon, Pacific Standard Time, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning on Saturday, and 8 a.m. on Sunday. And I always excited to have a guest. We don't get them that often, so I'm very valued to have the guest. So I think we have, probably pronounced your name is Jackie Pedroza. Is that the correct way to pronounce your name?
Jackie,
She's Jackie. Okay. And Jackie, where are you from? What part of the world?
West Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay, you're from Iowa, and you're at Des Moines, Iowa.
West Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh, okay. I don't know where that part of is that northern Iowa or southern Iowa or.
I just moved here 2 years ago. I'm not familiar myself.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad to have you. How did you find out about our podcast?
I follow Vince W. Davis on YouTube, and I was watching it last night. And yeah, they said to contact Grace at the email, and I did so right away, and I got on the link.
Good, good. So I guess you got everything. That Grace is our show producer, and I want to thank her. Now, for all our listeners that never been to this podcast before, there are 4 ways you can interact with this podcast. One of the first ways is just being in the room. You found the room, and you got in there, and you just take notes. You can do emojis. You can send smiley faces and hearts and thumbs up. Also, you need to check the link below if you want to follow us, and then you want to. If you want to have notifications, then you check that link there. And stars are nice too if you want to send some stars. A second way to uh, interact on this podcast is to text in messages. Um, you can text in messages, Let me get there to it. By typing in um, the comments about your comments or questions about your CPS case. All I ask for you to do is give your first name and the location, the city or the county, and the state. And if you happen to be from another country, you're more than welcome because we have about 14 countries from around the world, since it's a Real in the World podcast, that have interacted about the child protection system. And so they're welcome too. And then all you need to do is tell a little bit about your case, like what your family structure is like, the ages of the kids, the sexes of the kids, and then what were the allegations, and in more detail, the negligence or physical abuse. But there is good there. And then how were your children taken? Were they given away at the home, or did they give it um, at the office, or how did they get your children, and where you at on your case? Now, the third way is what Jackie is right now. You can be a guest on our podcast, and when you're a guest on our podcast, you would just email Grace at vincentwdavis.com. That's Grace at vincentwdavis.com. And you just mail her one of the times. You can say, I want to be on Bob's Saturday morning show or Bob's Wednesday evening show. So you give her that, and then she will in turn tell you what to do as a guest. Things like no smoking or eating during the show. And we do not use the names of children, judges, or social workers on the show. Furthermore, she'll help you with your show. She prefers you use a computer if it's available, but phone is okay. And she'll make sure your lighting and sound and so forth are up there. And she'll send you the link. And if you have to get knocked off, that link that was sent is still good for the show. So that's the third way to be a guest. Now, the fourth way is I usually put my phone number up, but I won't take calls because I have a guest on the show, and I want to make sure that my guest has her time and so forth. And also, we have people talking, too many people talking at once, it gets really confusing. But anyway, um, Jackie, would you like to tell me about your case or how you got involved with CPS?
Yes, I would. Well, it's me and my husband, and my 16-year-old daughter, who I haven't seen since she was 6 months old, came to live with me in Iowa. She was at the time in foster care in Colorado, on the run from foster care, and she reached out to me, and I let her move into my house. So once I got that all settled from DHS, Department of Human Services,
Right.
uh, they approved for her to live with me, and I'm not going to lie to you. At the time, I was an addict. That was a year ago. I was an addict, methamphetamines. I
Mm-hmm.
was a little too honest with her and told her all my secrets and just let her be involved in my relationship with my husband. And I didn't know how to raise a teenager at the time. And I also had 3 kids from my new husband, which is not her father. Her father's deceased.
Okay.
And I have a 5-year-old little girl, 4-year-old boy now, and a 2-year-old little girl now. This is a
Okay.
year back. So she was helping me watch the kids while I was also running errands. I wouldn't take my kids when I was leaving to go, do whatever kind of, foul play I was doing at the time. I'm not going to lie. I was allowing her to watch my kids. We would get high in the garage, which is not located in the house. Mind you, I did share too much information with her. So when she had arguments with me, when she started, I found out stealing from Walmart, she was running away. I had to call DHS and report her as a runaway. She retaliated on me, told on me and my husband, saying we were using drugs, leaving them the kids alone. She did this well, she ran away a few times. Finally, the last time they had to take her to she refused to stay with us. They had to take her to a youth shelter for 48 hours. And she was refusing to come back to the house. She wanted to go back to Colorado, where she's from. So then she made an anonymous call to DHS and said that all these things were happening, and they knocked on the door one day. I let him in. They interviewed us, and I didn't know at the time. Let me rewind. She didn't do the allegations of the abuse and the drug abuse. What she did is after the interview with the DHS in Iowa, because they needed 20 days to do a investigation, we passed it, and that's when she called again and saying we were doing drugs, using drugs. She said I had hit her, assaulted her. Um, when this anonymous phone call abuse hotline she made, they came in and asked us to take UAs, and they asked us to about these allegations, and I had taken a UA. My husband and we passed the urine test. Then I had gotten pulled over one day because me and my husband had a domestic dispute in front of the apartment complex. When I left, they pulled me over. They got me for a paraphernalia ticket, and they wrote me a ticket and let us leave, me and my kids. My husband wasn't there at the time, but when the DHS found out Monday, they came knocking on the door to get the kids. And they had a warrant with the officer and DHS caseworker. They took the kids. We went in front of a judge. Before I went in front of a judge, I had a warrant. They arrested me for the warrant for the causing bodily injury for my 16-year-old daughter. And I wasn't able to attend my first hearing. They postponed it, made it for another time. I got out of jail the next day. The case got dismissed for the assault on my daughter because there was allegations and a lie. I never put a hand on her. She went to foster care back in Colorado. My 3 children went to a foster care in Iowa, Ankeny. So then that's where the case got started. And right now, the kids are currently in foster care, and my daughter, a 16-year-old, is getting emancipated through Colorado. Her boyfriend's mother's taken over that. And my 3 children are in foster care. Right now, we're at the permanency hearing. I've changed my life around. I did the parenting, domestic violence, safe care. I also did, we're involved in individual counseling. I also did a evaluation in over 6 months of drug and alcohol intensive outpatient. My husband graduated that. I did as well. We are individual counseling and we are in couples counseling. Everything they asked, we've done. Now, coming on the permanency hearing, we've been asked to, throughout the whole process, take patches, UA drug tests from our sweat once a month, random, for a week long, a patch test. Now, I was a heavy user once upon a time. My UAs come back negative. My mouth swabs come back negative for the UCS Healthcare. It's a facility that I do my drug and alcohol counseling. It is random tests. They come back negative. I also do testing through the doctors on top of my other testings just to have them, behind me and to make it look good and to let them know that I'm not using. Because these patches levels, they've decreased, but they're not negative yet.
Oh.
I guess the levels, it went from 1,000 to 900, 600, 300. Now I'm at 154. I stopped using. Okay.
I was gonna right now. I just to get an idea. Have you been using a family law juvenile dependency attorney?
She's private attorney given to me by the courts because my husband is a co-defendant, so he has a public defender. It's a family, yes, a private attorney.
Well, what they are, they're really called court-appointed attorneys.
Yes, there you go.
By social services. Did you
Correct.
know that court-appointed attorneys may have a caseload of 30 more clients?
I didn't know that.
Yep. And not only that, they don't have experience in dependency law. Their only experience is a typical lawyer in legal matters, and they're very new, and they won't fight for your case. They're just going to settle it. The whole problem is that you're probably not sure or not aware of in Iowa that there's corruption. The Child Protection Agency is only interested in making money. They're not interested in putting you back together. And because you've done drugs, they feel they got a really good case against you, which is sad, because the only one that's going to fight for you is going to be that kind of attorney, and that costs a lot of money. That costs a lot
Hmm.
of, and I know that's probably one of the things is, and they take advantage of people like yourselves. They take advantage of you. You sound like a good woman. Not only that, you brought your daughter back into your relationship, and I guess she didn't learn anything in foster care. Why was your daughter originally taken from you in the beginning? Why was she taken from you in the beginning?
Well, she was never taken. The thing about it is I gave her to the families, my ex's family, when I was involved. As I had her at 18 years old, I wasn't ready to be a mom. I gave her to the
You
father's family.
gave
She
for
went to
adoption.
foster care.
Oh,
She went to foster care once the dad died.
okay, because at that time you probably didn't know it that you could have done a custody arrangement with your daughter.
I don't know.
That yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of mistakes I see doing. First of all, it's not. It's okay if you have a child at 18. The hardest part that parents face is how to raise a child if you want to keep it, or how to give a child up for adoption. And the hardest thing about adoption is that see, there's a difference between foster care and regular adoption. Regular adoption, there's a lot of vetting that goes on at the state level and federal level. They want to make sure that the person doing the adoption is checked out. Second of all, it's a long process and involves money. The reason why they do foster care is that CPS controls foster care. They bring parents in, very little training, and those parents, I hate to say, don't take care of the children that well. They abuse the children sexually, they molested them, they hurt them. Their own children they have married in their family hurt the children too. So she may have a rough upbringing in foster care. And it's really not her fault in the beginning, but the problem is foster care and the child protection system. And what I call the child protection system, it's the branch of social service that's supposed to protect your children from neglect and abuse. And on top of that, did you know that they're also supposed to help you with food and shelter and transportation and education and medical, even a job? They're supposed to help you with the job. A lot of people don't know that. And then furthermore, they're supposed to do family reunification. Now, in your case, that wasn't family reunification, but they should have suggested well, the family that you're involved in, what you guys should have done is gone to court and got what's called a guardianship of your 18-year-old child. They could have done that, and that would have kept them out of foster care. Foster care is the last resort. It's a terrible place because the child protection system traffics the children. They traffic and they alienate the children from families. And so I don't know why your daughter would turn sour on you when you open your arms because your environment sounds a lot better environment than the environment that she was in Colorado. But maybe the drug part bothered her. I don't know what the extent of drugs because I never was a drug user myself. But I know that drugs don't mix well with families having children. And no matter if you do it in a different part of the home or you privately do it or it's legal, like marijuana is legal in some states, uh, it's not good for children. If you're going to have children, you got to stay away from any kind of drugs. Anything that you got to stay away from alcohol and cigarettes too, because that's not good for children either. And so your situation is a tough one because it sounds like they're into the long run to get your three young children since they're very young of getting them adopted and they're going to try to stretch it out and they can collect money up to their 18. They get about $20,000 per child per month. And it doesn't cost that much money, but it's $1 trillion business that the child protection system is. So um, you're in a tough bind because you've had your teenage daughter turn against you. And she probably learned some bad skills in foster care. She just didn't like probably the foster care system in Colorado and thought he'd give a chance with her own mom. But apparently, she turned sour on you, and that's a shame because she should be thankful. You could have aborted that baby. She could not be alive today if it wasn't for you. You could have sit there and aborted that child. And so many people that are born, from young mothers, and maybe it was date rape or maybe it was just a mistake, where it is. You should not do abortion, and that's what those people don't seem to understand. It's not a form of birth control, and she should be thankful every day that she's alive. That you, as a mother, you're 18 years old. She's probably going to be 18 in a couple of years, and she'll know what it is. She'll probably get pregnant too, and they'll take her child away into foster care because child protection system has a record. They'll have you as a record. They'll have your daughter as a record. Now your three kids are going to have records. When those three kids grow up to be adults, their children will be taken from them. It's a chain thing. It's like they know how to get money out of people, and they know that they can go after and they have a record of your children. So you need to break that cycle. And the only way you can do it is to get a real attorney. Now, have you talked to Mr. Davis at all?
Yes, I did. I did, and I talked to his. I don't know. I don't know who it was. It was another gentleman taking his calls, and he asked about my case, and then he told me it would be $250 for 30 minutes, or an hour for 350. I don't remember the price. I couldn't afford it. I'm working as an assistant manager. My husband is working construction. He just had a heart attack in May. We have all these classes we do 3 times a week. We get visits.
Yes.
Honestly, I can't afford it, and we have to pay for the food. They took away my food stamps. I only get 290. I don't even get food stamps anymore because you know
Wow.
what? I don't want to deal with the hassle. And honestly, we're just so busy. We're trying to work around the visits and our weekly visits from FCS. The lady comes to the house, checks on us for about 45 minutes once a week. My husband has to go to the doctors all the time. You know what? I can't afford Vince.
Oh,
I can't
I
afford him.
well, yeah, that's if you want to retain him. He has a couple programs, and one of the programs that you've gotten yourself, you can actually have 15 minutes with a Zoom meeting with Mr. Davis for free. Um, because you're a guest on my podcast, my show producer will set up a meeting with you and Mr. Davis for 15 minutes, and maybe he can suggest something legally that can help your case because you're at the level now where your termination rights of your children are going to take place. Once you lose your termination rights, you won't see your children again, and those children will grow up, and there will be a terrible time in foster care. I hope not, but that's what normally it happens. And then when they have children, their children will be taken from them. It's a cycle that repeats itself. It's a cycle that repeats itself. So, what you will need to do is you need to give your name, your email, and your phone number to Grace, and she'll arrange that meeting for you. She'll arrange that meeting for you. She already has probably your phone number and your email, and she has your name. So all you have to do is Grace is listen. She's in the room, and all you need to do is um, Grace, if you can hear me, Jackie would like, and it's up to you. You got to ask if you want to speak to Vincent Davis for 15 minutes for a
I would like
consult.
to speak with Vincent Davis. Yes, I would. I would love to.
Right. Okay. Well, you got Grace's email. It's grace at vincentwdavis.com. And she can set up that 15 minutes. It's something that Vincent wanted to start recently. He started about a week ago. He says anybody that is a guest on my podcast or calls in, they get a 15 consultation on Zoom with him about your case. And during that 15 minutes, you'll probably be able to ask one question or two and talk about your case. But if you don't get a real attorney, somebody that is trained, uh, your case is going to be hopeless because using a court-appointed attorney, they just they don't fight for your kids. And I'm not saying don't use them, but they're just going to do what social services tells them to do. Social service is so happy that they got a hold of your three children because they're trying to do the same thing with your old teenage daughter. They're trying to take them into foster care and collect money till they're 18. You see, they made money off your daughter when she was. How old was she when she was taken?
Well, she was about
A year or you know?
12, 12.
So you raised her for a little bit. Then when you had her at 18.
My kids was her father did. I was
Oh, okay,
absent out of her life because I was involved in drugs since I was younger.
right.
I
But
left. The
what should have?
father's family took care of her
Yeah, but the father
without.
made a big mistake. They didn't do a guardianship of their daughter. So it's real easy for child protection agency to grab your daughter. It's real easy. If you don't have guardianship, she's fair game, and they'll make up stories, and go against her father and stuff like that. So wow, this is a sad case. It really is sad because you love a family, you love children, but that drug situation. Now, part of your thing for your drugs, you don't have to use CPS's test. You have your own insurance, your own medical plan that will provide you tests. And those are legitimate tests. You just need to get them to approve your tests and your doctor because you don't have to take CPS's. Because I hate to say it, they sometimes are bad. They sometimes are bad. So it's best for you to use your own test, but you need to get them approved by the judge. There's a lot of things you got to do. I mean, you're how far away is your next case?
November the 26th is my permanency hearing for half a day. And then the next day, because they couldn't get a full day, is December 13th. So 2 half days.
So what's for the permanency? That means they want to take away your termination of your rights.
They're going to come to an agreement. They're going to give us I don't know, a permanency hearing. I don't know. That's where they decide whether they're going to favor us or they're not going to give them back. That's where the judge decides.
Right. That's called the termination of your parental rights to your children.
That's where they're going to see if we get them or not. That's what they're going to decide,
Well, you got
right?
a little bit of time. When you talk to Mr. Davis, um, please follow up with that. If you haven't heard from Grace, send her an email. But you do need to have that Zoom meeting. Now, I have another way you can talk to Mr. Davis for a little bit longer, but it does cost money. He's made arrangements with me that for $60 you can talk for 30 minutes. $60 for 30 minutes. Now, these are special rates, and it's broadcasting on my screen. Let me get some of the stuff there. Um, you can get a discounted Zoom, private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis for 30 minutes by going to a special website. This is something that Bob Pace and Vincent Davis have worked out. It's HTTPS is on the screen right now at the bottom of my screen or screen of there // Candely CALENDLY.com /apps APPTS VWD /Bob Pace. And so if you want to get instead of 15 minutes, 30 minutes, you can do that. You just use your credit card and enroll there on the webpage, and 30 minutes is better than 15. But if you don't have $60, take the 15-minute one. You can't go wrong there. You can't go wrong there. And then try to have your question all written out ahead of time so you use your time wisely. Mr. Davis is a very kind man to give a lot of his time, and he's the best around. He's had 35 years of fighting CPS. He's also done lawsuits against CPS, both federal and state courts. They will violate your constitutional rights, your civil rights. CPS doesn't care. They may lead you on that they do, but they lead you up and take you down. The whole purpose is to get money out of your child, to have your child alienated from you. And I know your children are still quite young and they're very precious children, and you should have access to them. You should have access to them. Um, do you have visitations with your three children? Do you able to
Three
see them?
days, 3 days a week.
Don't lose those. Don't lose those. It's very
They
important.
moved they moved them from the community. Now they're in the house because we're in reunification process. They said.
Good, good, good. You don't want to lose that bond between you and your children. It's very important. And I know if you completed all the programs, you took the domestic violence program, or you took the anger management program, or you took parenting classes, you're drug free and stuff like that. But you really should have an attorney talk to you. Those court opponent won't talk to you. They're too busy. They're at court. They don't have time to talk to their clients. And when you have 30 or more clients, it's ridiculous. You can't manage 30 people. And I'm maybe saying too high in Iowa. I'm talking about California because my court appointed attorney didn't have time to talk about anything. It was a waste of time. It made it worse because when you have a court appointed attorney, you can't speak before the judge. You can't talk to the judge. And in California and Orange County, they don't let you go into the courtroom. They don't let you hear anything. Do they let you hear your courtroom in Iowa? Do they let you go in?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And see, this is not like criminal. See, a lot of people don't seem to understand is that criminal is totally different. When you're in CPS's hands, you're guilty to you're proven innocent. Other legal matters, you're innocent to you're proven guilty. And then when you have the situation with the warrant, you should never let anything go. When you have a warrant out against you, that is the worst thing you can ever do because it's failure to appear, and that is very judges look on people with warrants they don't have any responsibilities, and it's a slap to the court. That's why they're so hard on warrants. So if you have a promise to appear, no matter if you agree to it or not, you must appear, no matter what, even on your deathbed, because it ends up making your life terrible. It ends up making your life terrible. Um, what kind of what is your feeling with these social workers? Do you work with two of them, three of them? How many social workers do you work with?
I work with one, but I've had three throughout my case.
Right, right. Now, are those three work together? Or are they working differently each one you go to?
Well, one had quit. One I had moved to another service or another area into the field. And now I'm on my third one. She works by herself, I guess. I just deal
Yeah.
with her.
Okay. And how are you and her relationship?
She barely, I mean, I'm cordial with her. She don't answer the phone all the time. She said she'll take 2 days to get back. Sometimes she don't even get back because she has to email me. So I just go above her head. I go to her supervisor now. If I want to know something, her
Yeah.
supervisor answers me more than she does.
Well, they're supposed to. The problem is you'll find out that even going to the top director of the CPS system there in Iowa is useless. I went to all the way to the top. You have to, file sometimes complaints at the state level and at the federal level, which is a lengthy process. Is really hard. See, CPS knows all this. They know they can get away with all this. They know they can take advantage of parents that are low income or parents that may not know the laws, and no one teaches anything about CPS. I wish it was taught. I wish they still had life skills in high school, in elementary, and college, where students are required to learn life skills. Simple things like sewing, how to sew a button on, how to open a checking account, how to deal with CPS, how to deal with marriage, the do's and don'ts. There's a lot of stuff that life skills can be really useful for. So this is a tough one on you, Jackie, but I know there's still hope. I believe that you love your kids, you do everything they tell you to do, eventually you get your kids back. I don't know
Hmm.
for because I have talked to three or four people from Iowa, and they've had nothing but bad sayings about Iowa. I haven't heard anything good about Iowa, so you got to be careful. The golden rule is you never talk to social workers, never let them in your home, never give up your children. The bad thing is a lot of people don't know that. They have to have a warrant to take your child. They have to have a warrant to get in your home. You even have to have a warrant to talk to you, because you don't have to talk to them. You don't have to talk to them. The less you say, the better off you are. because everything you say will be used against you. And they love the tricksters. They're going to let you on like, oh, look, we got you thinking that you're going to get great things, and then suddenly say, I'm sorry, we changed our mind and going to do this or that. They're such heartbreakers. They tormented me. They are so bad, and they'll lie and do retaliation. So you don't want to get on the bad side of them. The best thing to do is talk as little as you can, do what they ask, and of course have an attorney to help you with your case. And those court-appointed attorneys aren't going to help you. They're kind of a waste of time. So um, I know is kind of it's kind of a hard thing to go through because you don't know anything about CPS or the way things going. And when you had a child at 18 and you didn't know it, is that the father was nice enough to raise the child, but he should have thought about guardianship of that child because both parents are responsible for children, whether they're married or not. And it's said that the best parents are the biological parents. And that daughter had a golden opportunity to have her last couple of years, her teenage years, with you. And I don't
Right.
know if she knows that, and she doesn't know the fact that you saved her. You could have aborted that child. That child
Mhm.
aborted, and that means the child wouldn't be living. I don't know what your views are on an abortion, but I think abortion should not be a form of birth control. And I think it's a mother's and a father's decision regarding a baby. A lot of people say no, it should be a mother's thing, but I think it's both parents are involved because it takes two to make a baby. Um,
Right.
I mean, you both are responsible people, and it is a pleasurable thing, but there's consequences. So that is really, really, really tough. Now you have a she's 16 years, so you were 18. How old are you now?
I'm 39.
So all these years, see, 20, 39, you about 19 years, 20 years. Did you ever seek about getting any help or, talk to someone that could help you?
No, honestly, I was fighting with my addiction and I was not on the right path. I got clean when this case happened.
Right. It usually is a wake up call.
It
Um,
was a wake up call, thank God. And you know what? It brought me closer to the Lord and it got me a wake up for sure. It woke me up.
it does.
Got me
It
on
just,
track. It got me on track. It got me on track. And I'm a
well,
happier, better person now.
yeah, well, I'm so glad you reached out. I'm glad you're on my show. I hope I'm putting you at ease because I know it's very hard to express your story and also
I
understand the mistakes
mean,
you made. But we all make mistakes in life. That's how we learn. I just
right.
wish that you see you're dealing with was honest. See, that's my sad part. Is it seems like 99% of the people I talk to, and I've talked to over 500 people like yourselves, it seems like this agency is corrupt. I tell people it's like Alice in Wonderland when you deal with CPS. And they said, well, how's that so? I said, well, Alice, she was in the garden, she fell in the rabbit hole, and she met the Chester cat who directed her from one room to the next room. Well, that's what CPS is. They'll direct you from room to room to room to room, and they don't care. They do not care. The social workers are so bad out there. I always talk on my show about the pink ladies. And these are ladies not necessarily pink, but they wore pink t shirts. They chose pink not because of breast cancer awareness, but I guess they like the idea of pink and they put it on the front of the shirt to stencil it. They're professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they put parents, you know where your children are at. And they're paid to walk around. This is in 2022 in a little town in Prescott, Arizona. Their CPS was called Department of Children's Services, DCS. And these 8 social workers were ladies. They had 25 years of experience, but they paraded around at Costco and Walmart and Target and Best Buy, all the big department stores, and it sent out a wrong picture to parents. It's very
Right.
intimidating because, parents have enough trouble to worry about. They can't trust CPS. Well, there's lots of cases I can talk to you about bad choices that CPS has done. We do need a system to protect our children from neglect and abuse because there is a lot of neglect and a lot of abuse. It does happen all the time, every day. I read thousands of children being killed. by parents, by being killed in foster care. And it shouldn't be that way. It should not be that way. Is there anything you wish you would have done differently with CPS that you can look back now and share
I
with?
wish I would have never answered the door and let them in. I didn't know I had rights and I didn't have to. I thought once they knocked, I had to let them in.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's where it all began. If I would have
yeah.
not answered that door, I wish I wouldn't have talked with them to begin with.
Well, at least you're alive. There's a gentleman that died in May 3rd. He was 24 years old, a black airman in the United States Air Force in Gainesville, Florida, and he answered the door because the sheriff was investigating domestic violence. What happened was the sheriff fired 5 bullets right away and killed the guy, and the guy died on FaceTime talking to his girlfriend. So answering the door is not the right thing to do if you don't know who it is. In fact, as small children, our parents tell us don't answer the door, don't talk to strangers. A child protection, I mean, the CPS workers are strangers. You don't talk to them. And an easy way out of this, as I tell parents, is that you can tell them that, hey, I got an attorney that I need to discuss this with before I talk to you any further. Let me have your name and a contact number, and we'll get back, and my attorney will call and talk to you. Now, you may not have an attorney. You're saying that only as a bluff. Maybe you have an attorney, which is good, but it gives you some time to size up the situation because they don't know if you don't have an attorney. If you say you have an attorney, they're going to back off a little bit because they don't want to fight attorneys, especially attorneys that are trained in dependency law, family juvenile dependency law. And so, I think all of us should think about that and get to learn CPS. There's so much to learn on CPS. I have over 150 tabs of CPS things I've found from different states and different ways. Things like the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1978, or the 388 motion, or how to appeal at the federal level, or how to appeal at the state level, or even the local level. So it is a hard thing. Are both you and your husband able to work, or are you just having hard time income wise?
No, we're both working. Thank God. I'm an assistant manager at McDonald's. He works construction.
Well, those are good jobs, and I mean, to all the people out there listening, it is a hard time to struggle to buy food and gas. I mean, gas, here in California, is still up in the $5 range, and food is still expensive. Milk is $8 a gallon. Bananas are 75 cents a pound. Bread is $3 a loaf. I could go on and on about the cost of food. Food is tripled, and you know, I'm really hoping out there that we'll have a business leader, a businessman that knows how to get our country back on par again, to close down our borders and to bring our economy down, to let the gas line between Canada and the U.S. be officially operated and open. There's so many things 4 years ago that was leading us to it. I had more money in my pocket 4 years ago, and my life was better 4 years ago. So I feel for you, and that's wrong because you have a good job. You're working. Now, yes, you have addiction, but you've recognized it. You've fixed your addiction, and you've replaced your addiction with your faith in God. God is pulling you,
Hmm.
and that's a really good thing to have. And I'm so glad that you're on my show because you're sharing with me a lot of things, and I know how very, very hard it is. Now, does your husband have medical issues, or is he
Yes, he
okay?
had a heart attack in May. Once he quit the drugs, he had a heart attack, high blood pressure. He found out he had to get a stent placed in his heart. He found out he has tuberculosis. It's not active, but they had to put him on some medication for 6 months to the health department. He's borderline diabetic, high blood pressure. The list goes on.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so he's all under control now. He's on medication now, but you know, when you're on those drugs, it masks and it kind of numbs you and it kind of takes over and you don't feel anything, anything during the time of the addiction. When you get off drugs, that's when everything pops up and it just gets shown.
Well, that's the hard thing about drugs. Drugs is an easy way to get a high. they've been around a long time, but they also can become addicting, especially painkillers and things like that. The the drugs, you know, I was exposed to drugs. I mean, I'm a dinosaur. I've been around the '60s, so I know what the drug scene was. But I felt no desire or interest to do any drugs, only because I was playing a sport, and my sports needed my full energy, my full body, my full health. One was surfing, the other was football. And football and surfing involve you to be physically fit because they're very tough sports. And so that's what kept me from drugs is playing sports. And so I encourage people to play soccer and football and do cheerleading and do girls softball. It's there's a lot of things that kids can do. I encourage kids to do Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and Cub Scouts. And so those are all good activities. They get involved with their schools too. But I also encourage the school districts to think about doing life skills because if I mean, when I remember in high school, we had to carry a pillow around to simulate it was a child you're pregnant. They had to go for a week carrying this pillow around, and so they had life skills, but they had somehow got away from it. But if I think that girls and boys were taught about sex the right way and taught about how to respect females and females respect guys. It's a different culture now. It's totally different. We have too many people that are 12 and 13-year-olds doing stuff that 16 and 17-year-olds doing. It's really tough, and we need parents to be involved with their children. Put away the cell phones at dinner time. Eat together as a family. Talk about your day. There should be one meal every day that people should sit down and eat and so forth. So I I I applaud you for opening up and stuff. And it looks like was the drug addiction something that people gave you, or was it peer pressure? Or how did you get
Well,
started?
honestly, the way I got involved with that is I was adopted myself, 9 different foster homes. My mother had her 7 children, all taken away. She was an alcoholic and a drug addict herself. I experienced drugs when I turned 16, 17 years old and
Right?
introduced to him by another man that was older than me, who I
Yeah,
leaned towards looking for love because I was molested all my life. Foster
yeah,
homes, adopted father molested me, so I was looking for love in all the wrong places and
yeah,
introduced to drugs. I was numbing my feelings because I was trauma, so much trauma throughout my life.
yeah.
I never got the help. I never got the help.
Well, for all
And
you
now I
listeners,
have.
it repeats itself. People that you know, it's it started out with your mother who wasn't very. I mean, it's so typical that when I talk to people, it's generations now are being involved in the child protection system. Generations are being involved because they go through the same mistakes and drugs and so forth there. If your mom does drugs, then you're going to do drugs, and the same thing goes down the road. And and seeing men as um, sex is a fun thing. I'm not saying be anti-sex, but think about it. You got people need to think. There's responsibility that goes with that, and there's a child you bring into this world, and that child, could end up suffering because you suffered and your mother suffered. And it goes generations and generations. So hopefully the listeners to my show are hearing what you have to say and are trying to learn things out there because if anybody is listening out there, you really need to think about what you want in life. If you want a family, you got to do things that will help the family. And drugs and alcohol don't help the family. Smoking doesn't either. And it's a simple high, but it only lasts for so long. It's not a full time high. I think playing a sport is a full time high. And I think that's what kept me alive. I mean, going out in the ocean every day to get my gills wet and riding waves was something that, it's euphoria to me because I needed my physical stamina to go through that ocean. The ocean can be a powerful thing. And I'm a worldwide wave traveler. I've done almost every country in the world, and I spent 25 years on the circuit, so I know what it is. And I have played football and rugby till I was well in my 40s. And you know, it's that's the magic. If you tell kids, hey, where you want to be with your life and where you want to go, that's the way to go there. So it's a temporary fix. It's a temporary, but so many people make mistakes, and foster care is not a safe place. Your experience when you were a foster child, you said you were molested. That's very typical. The See, the foster parents are not screened. They're not really vetted. It's like if you want an easy way to get children, become a foster parent because the CPS doesn't check you out and they'll make you a foster parent right away. Now, that's not saying they're still not good foster parents or not good child protection social workers, but there's been too many people that have been abused and so forth. We need to make changes. Things like how the cases are reported. Right now, you get two kinds of individuals. You have lay people and you have professional. And the professionals are your doctors and nurses and school teachers and caregivers. They go through classes to learn about child abuse and child neglect and how to report it and how to, you know, talk to children about that. And most of the time, they're pretty good and pretty much on the spot. But then there's the lay people, the families, the friends. They use it to retaliate, like your daughter was using the CPS to retaliate against you. That's wrong. It should never be used as a retaliate thing there. Getting CPS involved is like getting a smoking gun. It's going to backfire. It's going to go off on the child, and it's going to be miserable. I don't think she's happy in Colorado. She had a chance to have a mother that loved her enough to tell her everything and stuff. So that is, I
Mm,
think that is really bad. So,
right.
um,
Well, she was jealous. She was jealous of the relationship. She didn't want me to be with my husband. She didn't like him because he wasn't her dad. She wanted me to leave him. She said he was too controlling. She was not happy because she said that it wasn't her dad. She was jealous of the relationship with my three kids. She asked me why I couldn't be a mother with her and why do I mother these three kids? How come I couldn't get a house for her? Why couldn't I be a mother at the time when I had her? So,
yeah.
there was all these mixed emotions, animosity, all these feelings at the time.
Well, I'm pretty sure she was told, "Do you know your mother gave you life?" That's all you have to tell these people that grew up in foster care or grew up in families without the mother or the father. You know, those children, all they do is think it. My wife that I'm married to, and I've been married to her for 32 years, she had two children out of wedlock. One was a rape when she was 16, and she gave up the child for adoption because she does not believe in killing a life once life is made. And if you think about it, does the baby have any choice when he's conceived? Should he be terminated? It's really hard to hear that story back and forth. So she gave him up for adoption, but he came back into her life when he was 20 years old, and now he's in his 40s, and we have a relationship with him, and that worked out good. Um, and then she had a daughter who met me when she was 5, and being 5 years old, she was the only father I knew. She's in her 30s now, but she stayed with us. She was 25 and moved out, started a family of her own, has a teaching job and making really good, uh, you know, money as a teaching job at the university and doing quite well. So, um, you know, your daughter should really be told that. I don't know if you could write her a letter or something there and say, "Hey, look, I'm sorry, you're my daughter. One important thing you must know: I provide you life. I could have terminated you with abortion, but I chose not to. And I'm sorry I wasn't there to raise you at 18, but I have my own life to take care of at the time." And She'll understand it, but she's going to go down the road where she'll get heavy into drugs and she'll have children, and those children will be taken from her. Those children
Well,
will
I
be,
hope not.
well, they
I
will.
hope not. All I could do is pray and hope that. I don't want to speak that into existence, but all I can do is pray for her and
I
be a
hope
better
not.
person.
I hope not either. But It sounds like you have a level head, and that it is hard. It is very hard because when you conceive a child, there's a bond you make with the child. You carry it for 9 months and then you give birth to it. There's nothing that takes away. To see a child born out of a mother, I've been fortunate to see mine, and it's a beautiful experience. It's a beautiful experience, and so um, it is a hard thing for what you're going through and stuff. So, how did it leave with your daughter now? She's in Colorado. She said goodbye, and never want to talk to you again, or how did the conversation
Well,
ended?
well, actually, the conversation hasn't ended. I'm still in contact with her today. She
Wow.
cries to me and calls me up asking to come back, saying she's sorry and saying she didn't mean it, and her life's the way it is because it's my fault. She blames it on me. I told
Well,
her
you need.
you don't have to stay there. You chose to want to go back there. You didn't want to live with us. You called the cops and made accusations. You're the one
Yeah.
who called CPS. I told her you this is the life you chose. Now she's unhappy. Now she wants to come back.
Well,
Now
then
she misses me. Now she
she
wants me again.
knows that foster care is not a good thing. She may have been
Well, she's
below.
living with her boyfriend's mom. She's living with the boyfriend and the mom, and now the boyfriend and her are not together. So the mother is doing the emancipation with her.
Yeah. See, the thing is that she doesn't really, uh, having a boyfriend. First of all, having a boyfriend is all right to date wise, but to have a serious relationship where it involves intimacy and stuff, you're going to have a child. But you need to express to her. You need to write her a letter or tell her, whatever her name is, and say, I want you to know something. I did not do an abortion with you. I loved you much to give you life. I made a mistake, got pregnant, but I'm glad that you're alive and that you can live your own life. You just need to know how to do so. And that if you're willing to play by my rules, you're welcome to come back.
And that's what I told her.
Yeah.
I told her I don't want no drugs because she was smoking marijuana. She was stealing from the stores. She was talking back to me. I told her, if you want to come back into my life and live with me, my main focus is my three kids, getting them back. But at the same time, I don't want no drugs. I don't
Right.
want no drinking, no partying. You have house rules, house chores, and you got to come and stay, live by
Yeah.
my rules and my regulations. And
Right.
until you have your own, then there's rules. And it's not going to be like last time, I told her. I'm
Yeah.
not your friend. I'm your mother. So
Right.
she didn't like that idea, so she's not coming. But she calls me from here to there, here time to time. I am contact with her. I text her, let her know I love her, let her know I'm thinking of her. But she just answers when she wants me or when she wants something. When she's drunk, she calls me asking for a ride if I can pay for a taxi or an Uber.
Yeah.
She's looking to use me, I believe, and she knows she messed up, but she don't want to follow the rules because where
No.
she's living now, she can come and go as she pleases.
Yeah. Yeah.
She has it made over there in that sense.
Yeah.
Yep. So,
Well, you get emancipated. Um, at her age is 16. She's 2 more years. She'll be emancipated, so she might as well wait. She should just hang
right.
out more years because being emancipated at 16, all that just means is she don't know, but they can arrest her. They can treat her like an adult. That's a mistake that a lot of children don't realize. If you want to be a grown adult, don't get emancipated. I mean, wow, wow, that is something else. How about you? How's your health been doing?
Great.
Well, that sounds really, really good. Well, I'm at my time of the show. We've been talking for a good hour here. I have about a minute left here. I want to thank you for being a guest on my show. I want to remind you to get a hold of Grace for that 15-minute free talk with Vincent. And if you
I
don't, you
will.
talk longer for $60. He'll talk to you. So there's two programs, and my number of my office is right there, 888 that's 6582, and that's the office, and you can contact there. So don't be a stranger. You're welcome to be a guest on my show again, and you're welcome to come as often as you like. But all you listeners out there, try to come in and be a guest on the show. All you need to do is write my show producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com. Tell her the days you want to be on, and she'll take care of the rest. And and think about talking to Mr. Davis. You need to find yourself a good lawyer out there because it's like open heart surgery. You know, you're not going to use a layperson or a plumber to do your heart. You're going to get a professional. You need one in CPS. So God bless y'all, and thank you so much for listening. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Also, there'll be a little a blurb from Mr. Davis at the conclusion when I sign off. Thank you again, Jackie. God bless you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm attorney Vincent Davis, and I've been fighting CPS for over 35 years. Through my years of experience, I've gained invaluable insights that I'm ready to share with you. If you're a parent or a caregiver or a relative, we need to talk. I'm offering a new opportunity for you to speak with me on a one-on-one basis. Ask me any questions, and I'll provide you with the insight you need to take steps in your CPS case. Members get everything they need to gain confidence and the knowledge that they need to support necessary to truly fight back. And as a special thank you for attending, I have a special offer just for you. Don't miss out, join us, and let's take that next step together. I'll see you at the question and answer event.